And I just have to tell you guys, this is Julia's favorite session. So if you think she's been excited about everything else, get ready, because she's all about conviction. Here we go.
Yeah. Cammie hates when I change things up on her. I do it just to keep her guessing. Look at how free she is, you guys. Look at how free she is.
I trust you.
She trusts me. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of a quasi session on wrapping up vision into conviction. And then right before lunch, I am going to bring up one of the dearest, probably up there as one of the most influential women in my life. Her name is Cindy Smith, and I'm going to kind of plant a little bit of her story throughout this, and she's going to usher us into a break time. We actually may not get through as much as I want, so maybe don't look at your agenda from here on out, is all I'm going to say. Okay? So all of you planners who are like, where's she at? Just don't worry about that. Okay? She's like, I don't know that I trust you yet. You don't have a choice. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to just revisit real quick some of this vision. Who landed on their vision? Great. Do we want to share it real quick? Can we pass the microphone around? What's your name? Yeah. Alex, do you want to share yours? Just the vision itself? Hold on, we're going to come with a mic because we want to hear it. This is Alex. Give it up for Alex.
I am free to live bold and unapologetically me.
Great. A world where we live free and unapologetically me. I'm going to take you a step further because why?
Because I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Great. Do you see the combo of that? Because there's going to come a day, Alex, that you're going to look at this and go, I live in a world, say it again, where I live what?
Bold and unapologetically me.
And you know what? She's going to have a day that she's going to go, this is crap. I'm going to email Julia Gentry right now and tell her this doesn't work. Believe me, it's not a matter of if you're going to have that day. It's when you have that day. And when you have that day doesn't mean that the revelation is any less true. What you're actually now camping on, actually stay close to Alex because I'm not done with her yet, but please stay, there you go. What you're actually camping on is what's called a freedom moment. And a freedom moment is, oh, interesting, what do I believe here? If you could actually put up the slide of the lanes, it says path to your dreams. This is in your notes. But basically what this starts to imply is that, oh, there's a difference of lanes here. One lane is my limiting belief, which is what the enemy intended to use to harm me or to stop me from God's plans for my life. But if you look, there's another lane right next to it that is the vision. It's the divine revelation from heaven. And now actually in a moment, I have a choice to choose what lane I'm going to partner with. You get to choose. Yeah, but you don't understand what's going on around me. Remember, we can't care what's going on around us. And not because it's still not valid, and not because it's still not real, and not because crisis and loss and pain and $0 in our bank account isn't real. But remember, whatever I partner with, whatever I plug my power into, Ted, I'm going to come into agreement with. So I have to be willing to say, what lane do I want to be in? What belief am I going to partner with here? Because that is going to happen. So these freedom moments are, oh, this is happening. Okay, great. What lane am I in? This is a tool. Remember how we talked about those tools? This is one of those. You're simply going to say, what lane am I in? Or if you're married and you start to see their tendencies and they're people pleasing and they're avoiding and they're not really, giving it to you straight, or they're acting passive aggressive or angry or all the things, you're simply going to offer up, can I ask you a question? Are you open for some feedback? That's what my husband always says to me. You know what I generally say? No. You're allowed to say that too. What that means is it's just a prompt to go, hey, can we get in the deep end real quick? And then we'll say, what lane are you in? What lane am I in? That's a fair question. So then she's going to go, well, I want to live in a world where we live bold. Say it again out loud so I can hear it.
I am free to live bold and unapologetically
Okay,
me.
great. So in that moment, she's going to go, yeah, but I don't feel like that. I don't feel bold. Remember, we have emotions. We're not always our emotions. Yeah, but I don't think that this is actually true. Remember, I can have opposing thoughts, but it also doesn't mean that they're true. So here's the way that you're gonna shift lanes when you don't know how to get in lane and you don't know what you believe and the doubt is up and down and to and fro and you're tossed all around, is you're simply gonna say, if I lived in a world where, say the statement,
I am bold
Okay.
and unapologetically me.
what would I do? Don't overplay this thing when you don't believe it yet. Don't overplay this thing. Just simply say, if I lived in this world, what would I do? Because I don't know that I believe it yet. Why? Because I'm in liminal space. Remember that thing? I've let go of the lie. Like I've surrendered that, but I haven't like fully grabbed onto this truth. And now this moment that's triggering me and wants me to go back to a familiar hell, what if it's actually a moment that God says, what do you believe? And you go, God, I need a little bit more than that. And you go, I'm going to live bold. Why? Because I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And she's going to fall back and surrender into the arms of Christ. And he will be her boldness. So do you see how what we're doing is not only are it's very strategic words, but there's the placement of I will live bold because he is in me. Do you see that? So don't lean just in that self-reliance of I'm going to live bold and unapologetic. There's some days you are not going to feel that way. So you're going to have to really sink into that bold scripture. Then you're going to have to pull yourself up by the boots and you're going to go, great. If I live this way, then what would I do in this moment? I'd have the conversation. I'd say no. I'd set the boundary. I'd start. I'd go. I'd do. Great. Go. Now go and act your way to a new way of thinking. Do you hear me? Most of us aren't going to think it or feel it, but we're going to need to act our way to a new way of thinking. We're going to have to walk straight through the mirage. The only way out is through. So walk through the lie to see the truth. Beautiful vision. Good job. Yes. Which one? Oh, you have to walk right through the fear. The only way out is through. You're going to need to walk right through the fear to find the truth. Remember, that's the veil. So sometimes, again, this is a suddenly. Some of you are going to leave today. The veil's been broken. You probably won't see that thing like you used to see it ever again. Then there's some of you who are going to be greeted with this veil because the enemy's going to try to put those goggles back on you again. He's going to actually try to put the veil over your eyes. He's going to stimulate the anxiety again. He's going to do some of those things, and you're actually going to have to walk straight through it to see the truth. That's always been there all along. He's not hiding the revelation from you. It's going to be given to you today, but then you're going to need to walk that thing out. And in those freedom moments, we're actually going to have to make a conscious choice to move forward. This is where we actually started to develop this idea of conviction. So I'm going to partner this topic, and then what we're also going to use lunch with is an opportunity to do both your vision and your conviction. So for those of you who don't totally have your vision statement yet or your conviction, I'm going to teach you about what both are, how to use them, and so you're going to have some lunchtime to ensure that you get this locked and loaded, okay? Okay, so what was interesting to me about vision once I landed on this, a world where we create uninhibitedly, right, because we are totally free to be who God's created us to be, I had to wrestle with this idea that I've coached hundreds of people around vision and they can have one, but it doesn't have them. And that's a frustrating place to be. Or if you've had a vision or a vision board or any of those things that you're like, I understand it intellectually, but I'm not making decisions from it. Well, part of what we have to understand with a vision, first and foremost, is that it's just a seed. Can you put up that image for me? This is also in your notes. So if we look at the idea of a tree, we have to realize that oftentimes what we want is the fruit, right? So right now, I actually want you to turn to that page in your notes, and as fruit, I want you to write down in no particular order, and what it's like almost a dream storm brain dump right now, all the things that you want in this lifetime, everything you want to be, everything you want to have, and every dream you could ever imagine. What do I mean? Write down the words that you want to walk in. I want to be bold. I want to be fearless. I want to be courageous. I want to be love, kind, like the descriptive words of who you want to be. And I want you to write down all the dreams that you've had. Like, oh my gosh, it would just be amazing to write a book, have $1 million, start a business. Just give me lose 30 pounds. Just give me real quick. You don't even have to keep these forever, but for the sake of the exercise. We could snap our fingers today and you could fully be who you believe that God's created you to be, what would you look like, feel like, and what would you have done in your lifetime? So yell a few out as you're writing them. Don't be shy. Fearless. Creative. What is it? Change agent. Confident. Trusting. Who else? I want you to write like 8 or 9. Trustworthy, unashamed. Authentic, filled with hope. Give me a few dreams. Let's go public with some of our dreams. What would you do? Say, speak on stage. Get up here. Come up here. Careful what you wish for. Who else while she's coming up? Everyone's like, I'm not going. So it's not like that she can't like make you do right now. Give me a few others just so Jordan knows she's not alone. Be an ambassador for us? Oh, dang it. In the United States, yes, even better. Great. Go, guys. Give it to me now. If you can't do it in this room, I love you, but you won't do it in that room. Impact. Okay, write a few of those nations down. Impact for who? You don't have to say it out loud, but impact could be a big word. So who do you want to impact the most? Community. Family. Give me a few other dreams. Doug, give me one. Not my father-in-law. I promise I would not call on him. That was not for you, Doug. That's this Doug up front. I'm going to come back. Stan, give me a dream. Restore cities. You're already doing that. Give me one that's more definitive. Cities, yeah. P.S. Cities. Huge. Love it.
Lead worship for a stadium revival.
Great. Lead worship for a stadium revival. Love it. Michelle, give me one. Yeah.
I said be carefree.
Okay. Give me a result. If you were carefree, what would be something you would do?
Not worry.
Tell me something tangible. What would you do in your business? What is a dream that would be attached to being carefree? It is this hard. This is, again, I want you to understand this is super real. It shouldn't be this hard, and it is. It's simple, stupid, hard, and that's okay.
My business, I would just work with the brands that allow me to feel carefree.
Okay?
Allow myself to be a little more picky with who I work.
Okay, great. Free to choose. I would actually run my business instead of it running me. Yeah. Great. You got one, Doug? Bold? Fearless. Great. Bold, fearless leader. Great. Mentor others. Okay, Jordan. She says, I would speak. What would you say?
Damn it, Nora. I cursed
She
too,
said
sorry.
it, not me.
Be yourself. Be who you are, and don't let money push you around and into things that you don't want to do because just for the sake of money.
Yep.
And live freely as you and who you were created to be.
Good. Do you think that people need to hear that? Give her a round of applause. Okay, so this is the fruit on our tree. This is fair, right? This would be kind of end result. Remember, if we go back to cognitive behavioral therapy, I have a thought that creates an emotion, action, result. So this is a result. What most of us do, though, is we go, okay, this is what I want to be. So we just try to change our activity. And we try to willpower ourselves and strategize ourselves and 1, 2, 3 step guide ourselves and formulaically put all that together, which is why it's not super sustainable. What is my fruit a result of? Look at this tree. What's my fruit a result of? What is my roots a result of? My seed. Your vision is just a seed. So the results that you have today, I would like to propose, are 100% in alignment with whatever seed you've planted and have been watering. So if your results are unhappy, depressed, anxious, overweight, could it possibly be that you were watering the wrong seed? Yeah. Right? Or you're like, well, I have one tree that's ugly and one that's beautiful, and then what happens is I really don't want oranges anymore. I want apple trees, but I keep watering both. This is why we have good days, bad days, good days, bad days. Why? Because I'm making decisions in my limiting belief lane, and then I'm making decisions from this place of vision, and then I'm making decisions from my limiting belief, and then the next day I'm making decisions from my vision, which is why I feel psycho. I said that to Jess. I was like, do you feel crazy sometimes? And he was like, you don't even understand how crazy I feel. Why? Because there's also this thing called decision management, which means the day that I make a decision, I have to reap the consequence or the benefit of that decision, right? So what we have to understand about the power of vision is it's not the byproduct, it's just a seed. And then it's gonna be on me to be the one that's actually gonna water this seed. Both seeds, I'd like to propose to you today, the lie and the truth, almost in theory, don't have any more power than the other. It's just where I'm actually going to put my attention. Because wherever I put my attention, I'm gonna give my life. I know, I thought so too. But we actually make that so simple. It's so simple, but we actually look over it and glaze over it so much that we are convinced that this is truer, but it's not because it's truer, it's just because we've actually partnered with it and we believe the lie until today, last night. So now what we have to do is ultimately stop trying to get rid of all these lies, and here's all I want you to do. Start focusing on the truth. Because when I stop watering this seed, what will ultimately happen? It'll die. Will it still have some fruit for a while? Yeah. Is your life still gonna have some negative consequences based upon some decisions and things that happen in the wrong lane? Yes, that's okay. Don't resist it, just continue to go, oh, that's interesting. Double down on where you're watering the seed. You're gonna start making decisions based upon where you're going. This is your new job. Do not make decisions based upon where you've been or where you are. Start making decisions based upon where you're going, your vision, revelation, actualization, and build from there. And make sure along the way that it has you. And over time, it will. It will. Well, but yeah, the limiting belief seems so loud and so true. Well, that's because you've partnered with it for a long time. What you're gonna do now is realize, okay, today might be the first day that you replant this seed. Remember, the day that you plant it and the day that it harvests are two totally different days. Please be graceful in the in-between. Now, here's the second theory to what's gonna make this vision come alive, and to Cammie's point, the topic that I love. This is what I think the world has forgotten, right? When we teach this concept of vision, is that we forget that actually it needs, what does my seed need in order to develop fruit? You said it, what does it need? Water. And when I water it, what happens? I start to grow roots. Matthew 13 says, a farmer went out to sow his seed. This is verse 3. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on the rocky places where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow. But when the sun came up, the plants were scorched and they withered. Why? They had no root. They had no root. So if your vision is your seed, your conviction is your roots. So everybody, where you see that seed, I want you to put vision. Where you see the root system, I want you to write conviction. Ultimately, this will be your vision statement and your conviction statement. But for the sake of concept, that's what it is. So now I have a seed, I'm gonna plant it, but then in theory, what I have to do is I have to ensure that I have roots. If you jump forward or jump forward? 18, verse 18, just go there. It says, listen then, they're basically saying to Jesus, why are you telling us things in stories? And he's saying, because you as a believer will understand the stories. They won't know what I'm talking about. What you have to understand about now partnering with heaven is they won't understand. They'll believe it when they see it. Will you believe it before you do? Do you know that revelation will actually create your capacity for faith? Stop wondering if they will see it, whoever they are. They will see it. They will believe it when they see it. I want to know, will you believe it before you do? This is where we start to walk by faith. It says, listen then, this is what Jesus says to them, the parable of the sower, what it means. When anyone hears the message about the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches it away, what was sown in their heart. If you skip to verse 21, but since they have no root, they last only a short time. So when trouble or persecution comes, he doesn't say if it comes. What does he say? When? He's a good God. Well, God, why doesn't this look more like heaven? Because it's not. It's not heaven. And so there's a lot in between today and heaven that you're not going to understand. But if you can't understand the mystery of God, you will never understand the revelation of God. Bill Johnson says that. Sometimes we want to know why for every single question under the sun, and God never intended for you to know why, otherwise you wouldn't need him. So if you can't understand his mystery, what makes you think that you will understand his revelation? He wants you to trust him despite not understanding. How do we do that? With a root system. We do that with something that goes, actually will imply that if I want to go high and have impact in cities, plural, and actually choose courageously who I'm working with, and not just who I want to work with, but Michelle, who you're called to work with. Use that word. This is no longer about just who you want to work with. Could it be that God's actually going to use your business to walk people right to heaven's gates? And you've been downplaying this, thinking that it's not that big of a deal. And I'm here to tell you today, it's a much bigger deal than you think. You and Rhiannon both. You two have played this small, thinking that what you have to do, I just want to do it. No, God has actually infused heaven's love over both of you, and you have downplayed it and skirted around just what you want. And God's put a call on your lives to walk people to heaven's gates. You both want to work with businesses that have an impact. There's a reason. Not everybody says that. We should, we don't. It's no longer a nice idea, ladies. It's a call. Do you hear me? You're going to walk people to heaven's gates with what you're doing. So part of this is I actually have to know that now if I want the fruit that's beautiful and big and high, we all like the idea of looking good, and what God's doing is I hear you. I want you to be pretty too. Remember, the whole idea is that you shine bright. Why? So that people give great praise to me. He understands that he wants you to look beautiful and to shine and to glow. Why? Because it gives glory to him. He gets the idea, but what he wants you to understand is that the ability for the level of trust in you to build roots and the depth of your understanding will produce the height of your revelation. The depth of your understanding will equate to the height of your actualization, your display, your manifestation. Do you hear what I'm saying? We all like the idea of looking good. He's trying to get you roots to be good. You will look good when you are good. When you're rooted and grounded in him. This will be a byproduct. Take your eyes off the result and anchor in, which is what we're going to do today. So as I started to unpack this, I saw that yes, a lot of people have vision, but a lot don't have oomph, is what I called it before I landed on this word, conviction. A lot of people have vision, a lot of people have goals, a lot of people have dreams, a lot of people have ideas, a lot of people say, I want to do something amazing for God, but then they don't actually have the oomph, the conviction, the burn, the give a damn to walk it out. Remember when we said that this isn't designed to make you feel good, it's designed to make you be good. And actually what we've misunderstood is that the pressure is a privilege. The tension is God's timing to work something in you that's going to manage the weight of the responsibility of his will, his kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. So as I started to study this, I've had two things. I'm actually going to walk you down the path of actually an experiential part of this and my revelation of this. So the tactical piece of this, when I started to go, okay, those people have vision, great. But what is it that when someone has a burn? Like a conviction, I'll call this your can't not. You'll hear me say this a lot. I just can't not. These are people like Muhammad Ali, right? We see Oprah, we see Martin Luther King. Like these are people who we go, they were on it and they just seem to be unstoppable, relentless. This is the Conor McGregors of the world. My husband would love that we're talking about Conor McGregor. He's like, who's Conor McGregor? He's a UFC fighter. Here's what I started to study about their lives. They know something we don't know. And they actually build their lives based upon where they're going and who they are despite what they see. When Muhammad Ali started fighting, who did he say he was? Say it louder. The greatest. Did he start saying that he was the greatest before he was? Do you think that that decision allowed him to train like he was the greatest? Do you think he ate like he was the greatest? Do you think he walked around like he was the greatest? Yes. Conor McGregor is today's Muhammad Ali. Most of us would say, well, he's the most pompous UFC fighter in the world. True. Yes, I would agree. Conor McGregor knew something that nobody else knew. And before he was the greatest, he walked around saying he was. He was convicted by the idea, which meant now I actually know where I'm going, I know who I am, and I'm here to show the rest of the world. You might believe it when you see it. I don't need to be convinced. I already am. Some of us are still struggling in the, I don't know if I am. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. Right? This is also seen in the life of a man named Desmond Doss. Does anyone know that name? His life is highlighted in the movie called Hacksaw Ridge, the second movie that changed my life. Hacksaw Ridge is a true story. It's about Desmond Doss. It's about his life. And he's actually a conscientious objector in World War II, which, if you remember, was the bloodiest battle in the history of the world. And this whole story was about this man who decides to go enlist in the army, which he believes is justifiable, which is also the power of conviction. This man enlists in the army and he says, you know what? We need to be going to war. These people were on a mission. So was Desmond Doss. He says, I'm going to enlist in the army, but instead of taking lives, I'm going to be saving lives. So the war is justifiable, but my role in this war is to save lives. So he enlists in the army. And in a short amount of time, his platoon, is that the right word? Would it be platoon? Okay. His platoon actually starts to go, you're a threat to us because you're not carrying a gun. So if I'm out on the battlefield and you're next to me without a gun, you're a threat. You're not going to help me. So they actually start to attack him. In the middle of the night, they beat him up. I mean, they want to get this guy out of their platoon because they don't see him as a confidant. They see him as a threat. Then word starts to get around and the upper guys start to go, oh, he's going to go rogue and so is everybody else. We need to make an example of him. So they actually start to do everything and anything to get this guy to just even physically hold the gun. I mean, and the whole movie is the story of how they are abusing him, they're trying to manipulate him, all the things. And he's saying, I can't even hold the gun. I won't hold the gun. So to make an example, they throw him into jail and they say, you'll stay here until the war is over. He's just about ready to get married too. So they show a scene where he's in jail cell and his wife-to-be walks in and she's like, what are you doing? Just hold the gun. She's crying and she's like, don't let your ego get in the way. This is not going to serve any one of us. Just hold it. That's all they want you to do. And he looks at her and he says, I don't know what I would do with myself if I don't stay true to myself. I can't hold the gun. I can't not be a conscientious objector. Here's a powerful thing about having a conviction. You can see in this man's head, he's like, this makes no sense. This makes no sense. I'm going to die. They could die. I think that this is like, you could tell that the parts of the mind that all of us battle with is it doesn't make any logical sense. It makes no financial sense. It makes no emotional sense. Half of what God starts to call us to when he had me write the book, or he's going to have you go out and to make that musical, or he's going to say cities, plural, you're going to go, that doesn't make any sense. And you're going to tell your brain, fall back, because I can't not do this. Here's what you need to know about boldness. It's just a willingness to say yes. That's all that it is. It's not storm the gates and I feel confident. Confidence is a byproduct of trust. It's a trust game. I just want to feel more confident. Well, hunker down and give me 20. In what? Trust. Trust that you can do this and God can do this in and through you. And by doing it and proving it to yourself, guess what you will develop? Confidence. It's a trust game. Boldness is simply the willingness to go, God, I will trust you beyond my own wisdom and understanding. I want you to blow my mind to get after my heart. I can't not do this. And you take a deep breath and you go. He ultimately gets out of jail. It's this whole story, but what we see and what we love about him is here is a man that on the night that it matters most, he's pulling men off the battlefield. Nobody else is. They're ready to surrender. And you've got one man on the battlefield literally pulling his guys, the ones that were abusing him and harassing him and almost trying to kill him. He's pulling them off one by one with one prayer. God, give me one more. It was conviction that kept him up there. It was conviction that got 75 men off the battlefield. It was his can't not. And yet what was interesting, if you watch the whole entire movie, is that actually all the places of pain along the way were actually helping him get stronger so that when the moment came for him to pull 75 men off the battlefield, he had the strength to do it. Why? Because every freedom moment along the way, he was deciding and deciding and deciding again that I believe and I can't not live this way. So all those moments that he thought were ordained to break him, all those moments that you think were ordained to break you was really God going, do you believe me when I'm saying, I'm making you? The pressure is a privilege. And I'm building strength and resolve. So when that moment happens, when the time comes that it makes no sense to start on city number 2 and it's time to go public with that musical, and you're actually supposed to create an impact in that arena, maybe for fathers, kids, families that you're like, no, God, you don't know a thing or two about me. And you go, I can't not do this. This was my story when I started to write the book. And when I started to write this book, my first message was to my best friend. When God asked me to write this book, I was an F-bomb dropping, wine drinking, Jesus following mess. And a lot of those things are still true, except I don't drop F-bombs as much and I don't drink wine, but I do love Jesus with my whole entire heart. But what I didn't know is that part of this journey that he was inviting me into was all the rough edges that he was going to go after along the way. So when he called me, I said, you don't know who you're calling? And he says, yes, I do. I absolutely do. But the second part of that you don't understand in my story, when he asked me to write this book and to dream again, one of my memories that I stopped dreaming was the same letter that I wrote to my best friend who was killed in a car accident on a missions trip when I was 16 years old. If that doesn't play into the lies and all the things, I don't know what else did. And I actually have her mom and her dad in the room today, which is an honor for me in so many ways, in such a full circle. Because the day that I found out that Mallory died, I hit the floor and I honestly thought I would never get up again. And anyone who's lost anyone knows exactly what I'm talking about, because you hit the floor and you go, God, I don't think I can do this. And you mean it. And she wasn't even my daughter. She was my best friend who I had for such a short time. And I remember as I wrote this was the first part of the book, I wrote it to Mallory. I dedicated the book to Mallory. And yet little did I know that from the moment that I wrote that dedication, I had more healing to do around the loss of truly my best friend. And so I can remember the day, this is fast forward many days, and I'm getting ready to put the book into this like press zone, right? Which all these words were new to me. And they're like, you need your manuscript. I was like, my what? He's like, the finished part of, oh, okay, great. Like, I literally didn't know what I was doing, you guys, by the way. So he's like, your manuscript is done. This thing is signed, sealed, and delivered as long as you don't make any changes. This is this is January of 2021. And I thought, okay. At this point, I'm also supposed to have the book cover done. I did not. I had no idea. Will you get me a book, by the way? And a Kleenex would be awesome. And I'm sitting there and I am wrestling because he says, JG, your manuscript is incredible. It does not need any revisions. Actually, you're supposed to go through 3 revisions. Like, you are on point here. If you don't make any revisions, we don't need to do anything different. I said, great, it's awesome. It's good timing because I'm having my 4th baby in like 3 weeks, so let's run. This is perfect timing. Except for a week, the Holy Spirit kept saying, you're forgetting something. I said, I'm not forgetting anything, bro. I'm not forgetting anything. It's generally how I talk to the Holy Spirit. Like, I'm not forgetting anything. And he says, yes, you are. So after a week, I kid you not, of wrestling with this, and I'm supposed to hit send, and even my editor and my whole team is like, have you pushed send? Like, do you forget the button? It's the blue one, that one. And I was like, I cannot do this. So I finally sat there and I went, okay, what am I forgetting? And he said, me. Rewind, this book was not written for the church when I first wrote it. It was written for the marketplace. So it also included probably 72 F-bombs to prove a point. He said, you forgot me. I said, I'm not writing this for the church. And he said, yes, you are. And by the way, it will impact the world in ways that you can't even imagine. So I rewrote it a little bit. I told my editor, I have a few changes. I sent him my new manuscript that had 69,000 new words in it. I said, I just added a few more words. And he goes, JG, 69,000 is not a few words. And he says, and I see that you added scripture and took out a lot of F-bombs. I did that just because I figured my pastor, I don't know, he might read it, so I probably should take those out. He's like, great, but you also paraphrase scripture. You can't do that. It's like, oh, okay, good to know. Don't paraphrase scripture. Got it. This is what it feels like when God calls you. This is someone who, again, should not be writing a book, let alone writing a book to the church that's paraphrasing scripture. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, this is the journey. This is the real journey. From there, it turns into the workbook. It turns into the journal. It actually now has turned into a whole small group curriculum that is designed to awaken the church. Here's where this gets really good, though. So a few days late that I'm supposed to actually have the front cover of the book, I'm sitting there talking to my little girl, Aslan, who was named after my best friend, Mallory Aslan Smith. And she's about 5 years old at the time. And so we're just casually out walking. I'm actually in my stress zone because I'm supposed to have this book cover. I don't have the book cover. And I'm falling prey to the I don't know. And I'm my husband's like, well, you always know. And I was like, don't pull that on me. You can't use my work against me. He's like, you always know. So I go on a walk with Aslan, and she happens to ask randomly, what does my name mean? So I get to tell her the story of Mallory. And I'm sitting there pushing her on the swing, having the most divine conversation around who Mallory was and what her name means. And it's lion, it means bold lion, and all these things. And she's asking these questions. And I'm like, all of a sudden there again, and I can feel angels. And then Aslan's like, I'm hungry. You're like, like when you think you're having a moment, and then they're like, I gotta pee. You're like, okay, great. Obviously, it wasn't that good for you. Okay. So we walk back to the house after this conversation. I'm sitting there with my cup of coffee, and she says, what are you going to do today? And I said, well, I'm supposed to come up with the cover of my book. And she goes, that'll be fun. And I was like, that has a lot of different definitions. No, I don't really feel fun because I don't know what this book is going to look like. And she says, yes, you do. And I said, no, I don't. And she says, yes, you do. It's your lion who lives in heaven. Her name is Mallory. And instantly, I see this image of this lion, the connection of my dream and the fire colors. And for the first moment, I went, God, maybe you can give this place of pain purpose. And maybe I can take her mantle and her desire. One of the last journal entries was basically like, Satan, I see what you're doing and bring it on. I will rumble this earth to see heaven earth look more like heaven. It was her last journal entry. And that was the day I picked up maybe just a piece of her mantle. And I did what anyone would do. And I Googled lion face with fire. I literally was like, Google that. So I Google lion face with fire. And I shoot a couple of pictures to my graphic designer. And she says, that's an actual artist. Generally people who do a book cover, they go and they just pick graphics. That's like an artist. People don't do that. And I was like, well, then I'm not people. So what do? She goes, why don't you Google who that artist is? Maria Berry is her name. I sent her an email. Literally 2 hours later, she sent me an email back. I got on the phone with her, and we hand drew this lion, who is a witness of your greatest place of pain could be your greatest place of impact. Part of what these two have done that most will never understand the amount of pain that Mark and Cindy Smith have walked through is that the day that Mallory passed was the day that they solidified, God, you are good, period. That's a non-negotiable. That's a I can't not. That's a conviction and a resolve that I won't be moved by even when I've lost my baby girl. And unfortunately, we can't say that for every single family who also lost kids in that accident. I don't know where they are today. I couldn't tell their story. But I do know that many of us, if we lose someone we love, we generally don't hunker in and go, God, you are good, period. What happens? Belief, disbelief, doubt. Are you good? God, are you good? Careful the questions you ask. The quality of your questions determines the quality of your answers. God, are you even good? What kind of answers do you think I'm going to find? No. God, are you even here for me? Probably not. God, do you even hear me? Probably not. But I actually witnessed, and this whole process was an unfolding of watching two people who actually walked out their conviction with fear and trembling, and they decided in a moment to let it burn. To actually let it burn. And that maybe the burning wasn't the place that I was dying, maybe it was where I was finding my fire. But if we keep tapping out, then I can never find the burn and I can never find the power, and then I actually won't have the strength to walk this thing out. And in a few minutes, we're actually going to bring Cindy up to tell more of her story. But from a technical perspective, here's what I want you to understand of how this works. Anyone been to the gym? Like in the last year? Let's see how I did that. Okay, has anyone been to the gym? And you go there because you have this goal to lose weight or to get strong? What would be your goal? If you were to hit the gym, what would be your goal? Build muscle. Yeah, no, I don't have a goal. I don't even understand the question. Yeah, build muscle, lose weight, strengthen who I am, all those things, right? So that was my idea too. This was in our RV travels. This was about 6 months in. I had 3 babies at the time. And for me, it's a first world problem, but I've always been a skinnier girl. So I actually haven't struggled with weight, but I struggle with developing and keeping muscle tone, okay? So I decide I am gonna be the fittest I've ever been on this trip, which was a stupid timing too, because I'm already traveling. Remember my control issues. I hadn't beat that animal yet, all the things. So I decide I'm not gonna ask for help, which is what most of us do a lot of times too. I'm not gonna Google it. I'm surely not gonna ask my husband to help me, for sure not gonna do that. I'm gonna figure this out on my own. So I decide that I am going to work out and I'm going to do the same of what I've been doing, only I'm gonna do it faster and longer and harder. How many of you know that doing something faster, longer, and harder doesn't actually make you stronger, you burn out? But I thought for sure I was gonna beat this one, right? Because nobody really knew what they were talking about in all the videos and Googles and the whole thing, right? And my husband really, if you look at his mom and all, like they've got about, like Travis is one of those guys that like he just could like look in the mirror and he looks fit. His sister's the same way. It's something in their DNA. I don't really know what it is, but for them, I was like, it's nice to be you. So I decided after doing all this that this will work. 3 months in, can you guess what happened? Totally burnt out. And so I come in one day and I decide I just need to vent. Which husbands, you should know this again, when your wife is venting, she doesn't want feedback ever. Preach, can I get an amen? I actually don't want you to give me feedback. I just want to be right. So I come in and I am just venting up a storm. And I'm telling him about all the reasons why this won't work, has never worked. And I'm the first person on the planet. Do you see how we all do this? I'm the first person that strategy won't work. I'm the first person that will never be rich. I'm the first person that will, and all of a sudden we're just the only one that will never have what we want and all the things. So I'm going on and on and on and on and on and on to the point that I run out of words. Husbands, here's what you also need to know. Your wife will run out of words, I promise. She will be done venting at some point in time, so just hold the course. Just stay strong. Let it burn. So I stop. I think that my husband thought that was an opportunity to say something. It wasn't. But he took the liberty to say, without looking up, "Are you lifting till failure?" And I was like, "What did you say?" It was like a shut your mouth and mind blow all at the same time. He says, "Are you lifting till failure?" No. People do that? That sounds horrible. No, I'm not doing that. I lift till it's uncomfortable. I lift till I don't like it. But am I lifting till failure? No. Travis knew something that I didn't know, which is why he had the results that I wanted but wasn't willing to do. Travis's body is a byproduct of understanding the lift till failure component. And the lift till failure, if we think about this from even truly just the gym perspective, is that if I don't actually lean in and let it burn, I'm not building strength. Do you hear what I'm saying? My question to you would be, are you lifting till failure? And for most of us, no, we're tapping out. We don't like it. The pressure means we're doing something wrong. The pressure means God missed it. The pressure means that, see, I told you so. And so what we do is we tap out. What Travis knows that most of us don't know is that there's actually beauty in the pressure, that the pressure is actually building strength within me. This is a guy who can go on a run by himself without a watch or like anything to time him or a number or anything. I'm the opposite. If I'm gonna run 3 miles, guess how long I run? 2.9999999. And on the third mile, I like jump off on the treadmill. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you see those women that are running and then you're like, okay, did it, done, good. I'm also the girl that they say, you know, it's like a range of 10 to 12 reps. How many do we do? 10. We do 10. This is a guy who goes on a hike with my son Malachi, and Malachi gets back and he's like, Mom, my leg hurts so bad. Like something's wrong. I think I'm gonna die. My muscles hurt so bad. I said, well, when did that start? He's like, as we're climbing up this mountain. Little did we know that this little 8-year-old went 5 miles with his dad. He's like, up the mountain. I was like, well, did you tell Dad? He says, yeah. I said, well, what did he say? He says, I told him it's burning. My leg is burning. And he looks straight at Malachi and he goes, I don't even start counting till it burns. First of all, that's hysterical to say to an 8-year-old. But Malachi says it just like Travis. I don't even start counting till it burns. I don't even start counting till it burns. Why? Because it's a privilege. The burn is actually building a root system within me so that nothing can move me. So that when trials and tribulation, trouble or persecution comes, I won't fall away. It's not just about the end goal for me, it's about my staying power. It's not just about the dream or how I look or even how I feel. It's about that when trial and persecution comes, I actually don't want to be choked away by what the world has to offer me. I won't even start counting until it burns. Why? Because I can't not. Because I have conviction. I have a root system. I have something that anchors me in to my vision that nobody can take away. This is what it means to have conviction. Hebrews 11:1 says, now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, a conviction of things not seen, which also means that the day that I actually get down and I do 20, and you give me a few push-ups and you feel the burn, oftentimes isn't necessarily also going to be the day that you see it manifest. And could it be because God's actually building a root system underneath that is going to go so deep and so far and so wide, so when it starts to spring up and when the dreams start to happen and when things start to shift and still when trouble comes and when persecution comes and even the blessing comes, that you actually have a root system that's going to anchor you in. Why? Because I have a belief that is unstoppable. I can't not. And nobody could convince me otherwise. Yeah, but what about the news? Can't care. What about your mistake? Can't care. What about your past? Also can't care. Why? Because I'm so anchored into the revelation that he's given me that I can't not do this, even though it doesn't make sense, even though I want to tap out, even though I don't want to lean in. Those are all normal and natural, but now that we're calling this to fall back, now I can actually rise and stand in my place of conviction. This is what conviction looks like. So with that being said, I would love to bring up Cindy Smith.
Hey there, dreamer. I just wanted to take a second and to say thank you. I wanted to thank you for your yes and your boldness to not only get started, but to stay the course. I recognize firsthand that dreaming can sometimes be an overwhelming and oftentimes lonely process. And so I just wanted to take a minute to acknowledge you and to say thank you, because if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times, that the world needs your dreams. I also want to invite you to join our community, to actually engage with us, to continue this conversation. And you're going to see a QR code on your screen, and that is the best place to get started, where we will make sure that you get connected to a community who is also committed to unlocking the dreams that are on the inside of them, to breaking the limits that keep them bound, and are doing their part in bringing heaven to earth. So you no longer have to do this alone. We look forward to being a part of this journey with you. We thank you for your yes, and we cannot wait to see what God does in and through your life.